Lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Monday, April 14th, the Oceanside Planning Commission. Would you like to call roll, sir?
Certainly. Chairman Morrissey.
Here.
Vice Chair Malik seems to be absent. Commissioner Rosales.
Present.
Commissioner Balma.
Present.
Commissioner Anthony.
Here.
Commissioner Dodds.
Present.
And Commissioner Ogden.
Present.
Let the record show that 6 commissioners are present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Are there any matters not on the agenda tonight?
Chair Morrissey, there are not this evening.
Thank you. Then if I could get a motion for the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Ogden, Commissioner Ogden seconded. Please vote.
Let the record show that the motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. I see nothing on the consent calendar, nothing on transportation items, so we can get right into the public hearings tonight. Item number 4 is the consideration of a development plan and regular coastal permit to install 2 prefabricated modular units that have a general plan land use designation of coastal residential high density and a local coastal program designation of residential high density and a zoning designation of R3 at 1626 Broadway, and the applicant is Fred Levine. And can I have disclosures starting with you, Commissioner Dennis?
I read the staff report, also went by and seen the property.
Thank you. Commissioner Ogden.
I read the staff report. I walked the property, both sides of the property, back and forward, and talked to a couple of neighbors.
Staff report, walked the property, met neighbors, and know this area well.
And I read the staff report, drove by the property, and know the property well, too. Commissioner Balma.
Staff report and drove by the property.
Just read staff report.
Okay. Shane, would you like to continue?
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. Dane Thompson with the Planning Division presenting the 1626 Broadway Modular Homes Project. The project site is an 8,100 square foot parcel in South O, outside of the California Coastal Commission appeal jurisdiction. The site was developed in 1951 with a modest single-story, single-family home. The general plan land use designation of the site is coastal residential high density. The local coastal program land use designation is residential high density, and the site has a corresponding zoning designation, R. The project is proposing the installation of 2 prefabricated modular homes. Each unit would be 16 feet wide by 40 feet deep, which comes out to 640 square feet total. Each of the units would be in a stacked configuration, as you can see in the rendering there. The maximum height would be 21 feet, and each unit would consist of 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. The project is not proposing to modify or alter the existing residence in any way, and I would like to note that the project is not providing parking. The applicant is leaning on a state law that protects them from providing parking. We refer to this law as AB 2097, but it was codified into the government code, section 65863.2, which says that a public agency shall not impose or enforce any minimum parking requirements on a residential, commercial, or other development project if the project is located within a half-mile of a major transit stop. I will point out that this does not preclude the applicant from providing parking. They can provide as much parking as they want, but the law does protect them from the city imposing our parking limit. The applicant also does not need to justify any, they don't need to provide any justification for the parking reductions. And there is a carve-out in the law that if the city or the state requires any accessible spaces or EV charger equipped spaces, that those have to be provided still. A project of this scale does not need to provide any EV charger equipped spaces or accessible spaces. There are other uses that are exempted from this parking reduction. Notably, those include transient uses like hotels, motels, short-term rentals, but also includes event centers like sports stadium. Staff has included a condition on the project to restrict short-term rentals for the life of the project unless code-compliant parking is provided at a later date. Here are some renderings of the project. This is from the alley. Another one from the alley. On the backside. And a fourth one, also backside. Staff have reviewed the project and found it to be in compliance with all relevant codes, policies, and regulations. The project was consistent with the general plan and its multiple policies regarding smart growth, infill, transit-oriented development. The project is consistent with the local coastal program in that it is compatible with existing land uses and would not impact public views or impair coastal access. The project is compliant with the zoning ordinance and the development standards of the R3 district, with the exception of parking, which they are protected by AB 2097. And the project is eligible for a Class 3 new construction or conversion of small structures categorical exemption per CEQA. With that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission confirm issuance of a Class 3 categorical exemption and approve the project as proposed. The applicant is also here and will have a short presentation, and both of us will be available for questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions for staff? Yeah, Louise, Commissioner Obama.
Thanks for the presentation. I have a question. This isn't a density bonus project, correct?
Commissioner Obama, correct. This
Okay.
is not a density bonus project.
Because I know I just finished doing an ADU, and we were required to have solar. Does this also have to have a solar array on top?
I'm not sure. They do have to meet the California Green Building Code, which would dictate if they need solar or not.
So they would have to have solar, probably, right?
I don't know off the top of my head. Usually we see that for single-family homes.
Oh, but not for,
almost all
not
of them.
for multi.
But if it's multi, I don't know the standard for that.
Okay.
Commissioner Baum, I could expand on that a little
Yes,
bit. I
thank
believe
you.
what the Green Building Code requires for multifamily projects such as this is they be rendered solar ready. So they would probably have to run the conduit and have a space to add an additional electrical panel. But I don't believe they have to install the installation like on a small single-family home or an ADU.
Okay, 'cause that's where I got stuck. Thank you.
I don't see any other questions, so if the applicant would like to make a presentation. Could you speak
Mike?
into the microphone?
Yeah, sorry
and
about
let
that.
us know who you
Not
are?
used to it. Yeah, I mean, his presentation was fairly thorough. I believe covered pretty much all of the bases. And as far as the solar thing, we do plan on having it solar ready. Conduit ran. We're doing somewhat of a deferred submittal with that. We sort of figure out what our energy requirements are. This is a little bit of a better picture, current site. As you can see, we do live on Broadway across the tracks as well. And the current site is essentially just a blank 60 by 40 lot that's in the back of the property. When we purchased it. Oops, there's more of those elevation views. This is actually the landscape plan here as well. We did work with a local landscape designer, local to South O, in the hopes that it would sort of mesh with the neighborhood a little bit better. Also, in addition, as a requirement of building this, we are going to engage in civil improvements. We're going to redo the alley behind the property to bring it up to the current standards as they're written. Yeah, I mean, installation of the units is simple. It's designed to minimize disruption to the neighborhood. You know, my wife and I, we live in the front house. We're trying to minimize construction noise, disruption, everything, you know, in that realm. Essentially, it just requires foundation, the plumbing, electrical, and then the units are brought in and craned onto the foundation. And, you know, within a couple of weeks, they're essentially finished. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm open to any questions that you guys have. I know the parking thing, people have brought that up. I have a few different reasons for it. You know, we are limited. We're constrained by the size of our lot. We also did not want to build 3 stories, which essentially would have been necessitated if we were to meet the parking requirements. But, you know, we're just not fans of the big giant apartment building, so to speak, with parking underneath. And in addition to that, because we live on Broadway, there are no homes directly across the street from us. It's the tracks, and so that there's ample parking. I would actually say at times there's too much parking. It invites certain people to park there. But yeah, I'm open to any questions that you guys might have.
Commissioner Ogden?
Ben, I've got a question. What's the length of time from start to finish on that project?
How long have we been working on it? Yeah. Oof, man, since, well, so I mean, in its first iteration, we had planned on doing ADUs, but the city does not allow, even though we're in the R3 zone, the city does not allow for more than 1 detached ADU, even though we're R3, right? We would have had to do, you know, a traditional unit with parking. So we had to scrap that plan, and because we just didn't want to do a detached and an attached. We scrapped that plan, and then we were originally going to do 2 stories with garages underneath, and then Newsom introduced AB 2097. We said, oh, great, we're half a mile, we can do this. So I mean, I guess it's been in development since 2023. In one form or another. If we hadn't ran into, you know, all of these different roadblocks, because there's a lot of, you know, permitting and things like that involved with being in the coastal zone that we wouldn't have been subject to if they had been ADUs, it would have been much faster.
Commissioner?
Concerned about the neighbors, that's all.
Oh, you mean like the construction process? Yeah. Oh, no, it'll be fairly quick. I mean, the foundation, it's not a slab, it's stem wall. So I mean, stem wall, plumbing, electrical, from the contractors that I've spoken with, they think maybe a month or so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dodds?
Yes, will these units be considered for low-income rentals?
They will not be.
Commissioner Balmer?
Yeah, I'm curious as to, you don't have to share me exact figures, but roughly in percentages, like how much difference in cost between conventional building, like say if you're going to build this like 2 units, versus doing this container type of a project?
So not much.
Not much? Oh.
To be honest, it just depends on the company that you go with, right? We wanted to go with a higher quality product, higher quality finishes, and you know, the benefit is that it is factory built. So like everything is very, I don't know, compartmentalized. Like everything is perfect essentially. They've done it so many times. It's, you know, the quality control is very high as opposed to, you know, local contractor. happen. I would say price-wise, it's very similar. The benefit, though, is that there's less disruptions to the neighborhood as far as construction noises and this and that, and you know what you're getting as well, right? You know what like the quality of the product is going to be once it does arrive.
So then there isn't any savings? Like it isn't like 25% cheaper to do a container type house versus a conventional build?
There are other companies that we could have gone with where,
Yeah.
yes, like there would have been those savings, but we vetted and chose to go with this company because they
Okay.
have a very good reputation. They do a lot of work in California, and yeah, I mean, I just think that's worth it, the peace of mind.
No termites.
No,
Yeah,
I
no
know.
termites.
There are some good pluses to a container type of a house,
Definitely,
for sure.
yeah, very earthquake proof.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, too.
Yeah.
I have one more question. I know you touted a lot about being on Broadway, and there's plenty of parking, which is
yeah.
totally true.
Yeah.
I've never seen that ever parked out.
Sure.
But the only catch is that these people that might be living in these houses have to walk all the way, like 4 houses down and down the street and get to Broadway. Would you ever consider? But now that I know that you live there, I'm not sure. Like a sidewalk that goes through your property that goes
We
to
have,
the back.
yeah, we are considering it.
are?
It's a little tricky. We
I
have our
know.
dogs,
Yeah.
and we don't want
I
them.
know.
If we were going to do it, we would
Yeah.
probably do like a self-contained path. It's all sort of, once they're in, hopefully we'll sort of figure it
Okay.
out from there, right?
Okay.
It's something that can be added later,
Yeah.
right?
As you get to know these people, you can have
Yeah, exactly.
access.
Yeah.
Because carrying groceries all that way is going to be hard.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, we're hoping they could, if they are doing that, pull into the alley, do what they need to do, and
Yeah,
it's not exactly
that's true.
high traffic. so.
No, it isn't. No,
Yeah.
it's very low. Okay, thanks.
If there's no other questions, thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Do we have any speakers tonight?
Chair Morrissey, we do not have any slips
Oh,
or
okay.
speaker requests for
Thank you.
this item.
Okay, taking it back to the Planning Commission.
right.
Any comments, or can I get a motion?
I would make a motion. I'm excited about this type of a project in Oceanside. I think it's great. I mean, I just think it's the wave of the future in a way. I mean, it's like real. I'm glad that you did this, and I hope that you build it. Like, the other one, we had the other one a long time ago that never went anywhere. So hopefully this one will get done, and you'll be the first one in Oceanside to kind of show what you can do. And like, this is kind of going to probably be more, we're probably going to see more and more of it. And you've done a nice job with the elevation. And so I'd like to make a motion to confirm issuance of a Class 3 categorical exemption for new construction and conversion of small structures pursuant to Section 15303B of the California Environmental Quality Act, and approval of the development plan, regular coastal permit, by adopting the Planning Commission resolution and findings and conditions herein.
Commissioner Ogden?
I agree with Louise. I think that this is exactly what we need. I think if you walk that area and take a look in that backyard, it looks horrible. It looks terrible, and hopefully that will, it might act as a catalyst for people in that area to do the same, to clean up or whatever it would be. I mean, it's a very nice area anyway. South Oceanside is very walkable, as you know. So I applaud you for doing that, Ben. That looks like a very nice project, and I'd like to see more of that as well, too. I second the motion.
Thank you. Can we vote, please?
Let the record show that the motion passes 6-0.
Good stuff.
Okay. The next item on the agenda tonight is the consideration of a zone amendment and local coastal plan amendment to introduce an ordinance amending Article 46, Section 4604 and 4605 of the Oceanside zoning ordinance, and establish the amended text as part of the implementing document of the local coastal program. The proposed zone amendment would revise sections 4604, initiation of appeals and calls for review, and 4605, procedures for appeals and calls to review to include provisions that the city council may conduct a de novo hearing of all aspects of the planning commission decision being amended. Zoning text amendment ZA 25-1, local coastal program amendment LCP A25-01, and the applicant is the City of Oceanside. Disclosures. Did we read the articles? I read. Commissioner Dodds.
I read staff report.
Okay.
I also read the staff report.
I read the staff report.
Staff report.
Commissioner Ogden.
Staff report and discussion with several city council members concerning this.
Staff report.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and Planning Commissioners. I'm Lydia Grego with the Planning Division. I'm here tonight to discuss a zone amendment and local coastal program amendment regarding appeals and calls for review. The item before you is a request for a zoning text amendment to amend Article 46, Appeals and Calls for Review, Sections 4604 and 4605 of the zoning ordinance, and to establish the amended text as part of the implementing document of the local coastal program. Under current policy, all appeal hearings are limited to the basis of appeal, where issues not raised by the appellant in the written appeal cannot be considered in the appeal hearing. At the City Council meeting on March 12th, Council brought forward an item to change the standard of review and appeals. The intent of this item was to allow City Council to consider an appeal de novo, meaning during the consideration of an appeal of a Planning Commission decision, the City Council would review the entire project and make its own determinations as to the project's consistency with applicable policies, rules, and regulations. With a vote of 3-2, staff was directed to amend Article 46, Appeals and Calls for Review, to allow for a de novo hearing of Planning Commission decisions appealed to City Council. The project proposed consists of an update of the Appeals and Calls for Review ordinance for the purposes of implementing Council's direction to allow the City Council to consider an appeal de novo by amending Article 46, Sections 4604 and 4605 of the city's zoning ordinance. Staff is proposing a number of revisions, which are as follows. Removed language in sections 4604 and 4605 that limits consideration of an appeal to only those items raised by the appellant. And in section 4605, added language that an appeal of a Planning Commission decision shall be a de novo hearing. The proposed zoning text amendment is intended to set and implement comprehensive standards and procedures for appeals and calls for review. Although an appellant would still be obligated to provide a basis for their appeal, the proposed amendment would remove the limitations of review by no longer restricting the appellate body to the scope of the appeal. City Council would no longer be limited to the specific issues raised, but rather render its decision de novo, considering all aspects of the application beyond what is specifically appealed and without reference to the underlying decision. The amendment proposed would provide an opportunity for a new comprehensive examination of a project. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission confirm issuance of a notice of exemption per SEQA, Article 5, Section 15061B3 under the Common Sense exemption, and adopt Planning Commission Resolution Number 2025-P10 recommending City Council approval of Zone Amendment ZA 2502 and Local Coastal Program Amendment LCPA 25-01. This concludes staff's presentation. I am available for questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosales?
Thank you. It was a question for city planner. I wasn't at the council meeting where this issue was raised. I guess I want to try to understand the root of why this proposed change is being made. It seems like it's taking an extra step by the city council. They're taking on additional work, if you will, to consider the entire project. You know, imagine if somebody appeals something, they're going to be looking at the entire project as though it was never even at the planning commission. So I guess it's just one more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's another knock on the planning commission, perhaps, is the way I take it. Again, as though there's not a level of confidence that the planning commission got it right. And I think, can you go back to, I think, the second to last slide you had? There we go. I think it was this one. Well, there's terminology in here, I guess maybe without reference to conclusions made by the planning commission. I guess the entire thing just kind of annoys me. And I guess I want to understand what the root of this is, or am I just off basis and feeling kind of annoyed by the city council?
Thank you for your question and comments, Commissioner Rosales. I would be remiss to try to guess to why the council brought forward this item. I can tell you that in the past, there's been maybe some frustration at the city council level that they haven't had the ability to consider items maybe brought up at the appeal hearing itself, or other items that they might consider important that perhaps wasn't addressed in the appeal petition. And so I think they got annoyed with us on continual reminders that they're supposed to stick to what's in the appeal petition. Under one of the language that we're striking, some of the language that we're striking is my responsibility as city planner to make sure that the issues brought up in the petition are being discussed at the city council hearing. The city attorney has also struggled with that. So in this case, the city council wants autonomy to review the entire project. They provided staff direction, and we're here tonight to fulfill that direction.
Autonomy, yeah, that's an interesting word. Okay, I'll leave it there for the moment.
Commissioner Ogden.
If you take a quick look at what is being suggested here in the change, I go back to the mandate of what the planning commissioners focus is supposed to be, which is a liaison between the community and the city council. And the way I look at it is, if the city council, who is elected by the people, the planning commissioners are not elected by the people. We are chosen by the city council itself. But if it's their decision that they want to make a change to that, I see no other option other than to accept that change as to what they want to have done. I don't understand it. I don't know why it is, but if that's what they want to do, then I think we're forced to do what they would like us to do as elected representatives of the City of Oceanside.
Commissioner Obama.
Thank you. I agree with both my fellow commissioners on this subject. I mean, it's kind of like I've been on the commission now for almost 23 years, so a long time, and I've devoted volunteered my time to be able to hopefully help the city council by trying to take some of the workload off of their backs and do what I can to listen to the community and to come up with what I think is right, and then go for, a proposal to either approve it, which sometimes we can do here and doesn't go past us, or to offer our recommendation to the council. So it's kind of a, like you said, a jab. When you think that you thought you've been doing a good job all these years, and all of a sudden now we're questioned as to maybe we don't know what we're doing. And I think that everybody that sits on this planning commission pretty much knows what they're doing. And so it does hurt a little bit. Maybe not hurt personally, but it just doesn't feel like there's no respect, basically, right? And I felt I'm glad that two of the city council did vote not to do that. I think it was Commissioner Robinson and Peter Weiss, who probably have been around a lot longer. But anyway, that's just my own feeling. I mean, I totally will go with this. I totally will recommend that we agree with it and everything. It's what else can we do? As Commissioner Ogden said, what more? We can't really say no to it. We could, I guess. Someone could appeal it.
Yeah. The city council could appeal it and hear it themselves.
Commissioner Rosales, did you have another comment?
Just one more thought. No, and thanks for making that point. We do sit here as volunteers, unelected, unpaid, and we have diverse backgrounds. And I think, having been on the commission almost as long as Louise, we don't idly sit here and just make a decision, without the basis. And so, yeah, of course, the council can overrule us, but this is just another one of those things, and I said this at a council meeting a few months ago when they were going to change the makeup of the planning commission, that it doesn't take a whole lot if you're a council member to ask to sit down with a commissioner or do workshops with the commission to kind of try to get on the same page. And this is just another one of those examples of just get together with us and, kick around this idea that you had instead of teeing it up and say, hey, we're going to make this change without your input. So just another example of the council maybe not doing their job as complete as they should in terms of the connection here with this very important commission. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Rosales. Commissioner Dodds.
So I do agree with my fellow commissioners that we do take pride in our work. We are volunteers. We may not be elected, but we do take pride in our work. Are we 100% correct? Probably not. But we do the best that we can. But to have the commission or the committee, city council come back and say, well, we want autonomy to be able to just go back and correct what we think you didn't do right without having an alignment discussion is a little bit offensive. As Commissioner Rosales said, it doesn't take much to set up a meeting where we can align and calibrate as far as how our thinking should be and what they're looking for. And we can make the approach that way versus just saying, we're just going to just step over you. But that's just my opinion.
Thank you, Commissioner Dodds. I don't see any other requests to speak. Commissioner Ogden.
I agree with sitting down with the city council in some type of forum to do that. I am up for the two commissioners are going to be reported, are going to be appointed on Wednesday evening. If I'm fortunate enough to get reappointed, I'd be more than happy to be a liaison between the commission and the city council to try to facilitate a meeting to do that. And that's what I discussed with Eric specifically, with Jimmy as well, and with Rick Robinson also.
Yeah, and I would just add, thanks for that offer. If you're reappointed, I think liaison or connections to the council should be the entire planning commission, not just a single person. Again, we have a role in this space of making decisions about development and zoning amendments and so forth. It's an important space to be aligned with the city council. And so to not have a regular, frequent connection with the council, formal arrangement with them, it just boggles my mind. As long as I've been on the planning commission, I think I've met with the council one time in 14 plus years. So yeah, it's silly. I'll stop there. I probably said enough.
I don't see any other requests to speak. Do we have any requests to speak from the public?
Sensing a theme, Chair Morrissey, no, we do not have any speakers on this item.
Okay. All right. If there's no other discussion, then can we vote on the matter? I see no motion on the matter. So that's a little, I've never dealt with this issue, so Barbara?
You know what,
I mean, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, if you want to make a motion, you can.
Barbara, can you, in a situation like this, I'd just like to know when, there's an item up There's no motion, which obviously you can tell that there's no support for it. Having said that, in that situation, it might change in just a minute. In that situation, what happens?
It could be recorded and reported as no action taken. I mean, this action is a recommendation to City Council, so it's not like an approval of a project. So the ramifications are different, but I would think that if you take no action, that's what staff will report to council when they bring it forward to council.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rosales.
Thank you. That actually helps, I think, with trying to make a motion then, because we've been asked to recommend to the council to either go along with this or something else. So my motion will be to recommend that we take no formal action on this item tonight. Instead, my recommendation and my motion is that we meet with City Council as a group at the earliest possible date to talk about this and other items that, again, I believe that we should be aligned with on the City Council. So that would be my motion, that simple.
I would second that.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Commissioner Obama, can we vote, please, on the motion?
Oh, did you want to say something?
You know what, I'm sorry. Before we vote, Commissioner
Just to
Dodds,
be
did you?
clear, so we are voting on Commissioner Rosales' motion and not this.
Which is just to
Yeah.
recommend to
Recommendation,
get
yeah.
together
Yes.
with City Council.
Okay.
Talk about this.
Let the record show that the motion passes 5-1 with Ogden no.
Okay. I see there's no items on the, no discussion items, no miscellaneous actions. So it's time for city planners, commissioners' reports. Commissioner Dodds, can we start on your end, please?
Nothing to report?
Nothing to report.
I have nothing to report.
I have nothing to report, but I have a question for city planner. Not far from where Commissioner or Chair Morrissey and I live on Rancho del Oro, kind of at the corner of Rancho del Oro and Vista Way up on the hill. There was a project that I was part of the commission at that point that we entitled that project long ago. I think it was during the recession of 2008, 2009. I think it's changed owners a few times. It sat idle and nothing happened for years. It sat, I think that several owners have tried to get the project going. It kind of got going, and there are structures on the property now, some looking very weathered. I think 3 of them, they've got the wrapping on the outside, but the others are just plywood. I guess the question I'd have for you is, can you maybe give this body an update at the next meeting or a meeting thereafter in terms of the status of that? I've gotten several questions from people in the neighborhood as to what's going on, and it's just kind of becoming sort of an eyesore as well. So that would be more of a question for you if you could follow up on that for us. Thanks.
Certainly, Commissioner Rosales, I'm familiar with the project of which you speak. I'll check on the status and report back to
Okay.
this body next time we meet.
Great, thank you. No other report.
Commissioner Ogden?
Nothing to report.
I would like to give kudos to the Planning Commission. One of the projects that you had, I guess before I was here, was the development on Oak Grove and Frazee. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they have a combination of single-family homes and condos, and they put a traffic circle in there on that road. And I thought it was going to be a disaster because you have elementary school, a middle school, and you have kids on these electric bikes, and these new houses here and all of this stuff. But man, that turned out to be great. We have not had any problems there. The traffic circle really had me worried for a while, especially with kids getting out of school, things like that. But that was a super project. It really took advantage of all of the land that was there. It was smart. It looks great. And I just want to give kudos to the commission for that. That was a good job.
Thank you, fellow commissioners. City planner.
Thank you, Chair Morrissey, members of the Planning Commission. I'll have a brief update for you on upcoming Planning Commission items. On the meeting of April 28th, we have a regular coastal permit for renovation at 61 St. Malo within the St. Malo community. On May 5th, we have a regular coastal permit for exterior improvements to a property at 1840 South Pacific Street. And currently on May 19th, we don't have any items scheduled. That's all we have scheduled out till right now. Coming up, upcoming city council items, as one of the commissioners mentioned, on the 16th, there is a workshop to appoint 2 new planning commissioners, or to appoint 2 seats that the terms are expiring. On the 23rd, there's an appeal, the second appeal hearing for the 503 Vista Bella project. On May 7th, there is an appeal hearing on the Olive Park project, which is body approved. On May 21st, there is an appeal hearing on the Eddie Jones Warehouse project, which is body approved. And then finally, June 4th, we have tentatively scheduled the Article 46 updates that you considered tonight. And finally, on June 18th, we have tentatively scheduled the redevelopment of the Regal Cinema site at 401 Mission Avenue. Though that project doesn't come to this body because it's located in the downtown. It goes to Downtown Advisory Committee for recommendation to City Council. It's certainly a relevant project, and want to keep the Planning Commission informed about it. That concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. I don't see anything else on the agenda, so this meeting is adjourned.
Recording stop.